Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar Dee Eight. Ridiculous. That is correct. This is worse than ridiculous. I have never heard such an insult. It'd even be possible for us to check by force whether he's alive or dead, with the police there to witness it. Isn't that right, Eva Nissan? Yes. That's right, Nissan. There are all sorts of ways we could set you up. We could easily arrange for a situation where you'd have to hold a meeting with Father under the supervision of a third party. Still. I think that would bring a lot of shame to the Ushiromiya family. That's why I'm making this proposal. Here we have the responsibilities and duties of the caretaker, and a penalty in the worst case scenario. If you consent to those terms, we'll be able to refrain from doing something like dragging Father outside. Yeah, that's right, Nikki. Didn't you just say it yourself? You're carrying out your natural duties as Dad's caretaker. Kyrie's conditions shouldn't be anything to worry about, right? Why this overreaction? Are you really that worried about having the position of successor dragged out from under you as if Dad dies something other than a natural death? Or else, what? Do you have some reason to think Father might die something other than a natural death? How could I? I see. Now I too understand how Father feels. How pitiful his latter years. Again, do you guys say latter or later? Years have been, for him, unable even to die as he pleases. Yes, his later years truly have been pitiful. And the thought that these later years are already something of the past is exactly what we're suspecting. You could completely clear this suspicion away just by letting us meet with Father. So even after being humiliated by us this much, you still won't allow us to meet with him, Krausny's son. Father is probably already dead. The corpse may have been disposed of in absolute secrecy, and after taking all of the wealth for yourself as Father's agent, you will make it seem that he disappeared until 7 years pass, making Father a corpseless member of the deceased. I'm sorry, but please don't take it badly, okay? I'm just playing detective here. How rude can one be? You have no right to stay in this mansion. Leave immediately. I won't permit you to cross the threshold of this house again. It worked last year, but you used up your luck if you thought it worked this year, too. Father is in a bad mood, so he can't meet with us. That was plenty suspicious last year. And yet you're doing it again. If you really wanted to fake being father's agent and grab up all his assets, you should have done it a little more speedily, making him disappear without waiting for today's family conference. You really are naive, Kraus Onisama. I have no idea what you are. However, if it's a fact that father's in a bad mood and you're preventing us from meeting him as part of your responsibilities as his caretaker, then it's a very wonderful thing you're doing. In that case, if you just accept our conditions, everything will be settled here and now. After all, you care so greatly for father, Kraus Nissan. There's no way father will die in a manner that leads to trouble during the autopsy. After all, father hates hospitals, so he'll pass away in his study, right? An autopsy will certainly be carried out no matter what happens. The only way to kill him without an autopsy would be for him to disappear. Enough, Kairi-san. I think you've bullied Nissan enough. Ava rebuked Kairi in a sickeningly kind voice. Considering the situation, that was impossible, which is why it was sickening. I'm sure Nissan has his own difficulties to worry about, as well as his pride. True, Nissan might consider that one of his natural duties, but if you force him to put it on paper and assign penalties, I could hardly blame him for getting upset. Don't you agree, Rosa? Yes. That's right. She might have made light of Kraus Nissan's pride as the eldest son a little too much. I'd feel bad for him if we were to force to sign a statement regarding the duties of the caretaker as Kairi-san has laid them out. That's right. You're doing a good job, Aniki. Taking that into account, we might consider avoiding all that about signing strange papers and worst-case penalties and leave everything to you people. Not just Ava, but Rudolph and Rosa as well, with the unnerving smiles on their faces, as though they'd planned this beforehand, began closing in on Kraus. They now understood perfectly how Kairi had cornered Kraus and exactly where she was prepared to compromise. We were talking about a signed statement regarding the responsibilities of the caretaker, but even without signing such a thing, you can make it so that we'll never demand a meeting with Father again if you can prove your fitness as Father's caretaker with a form of guarantee other than a signed statement, that is. Are you telling me to pay security money? Hilarious. Wahaha. The security money will be paid to Ava-san, Rudolph-san, and Rosa-san, 3 billion yen each. As a deposit, you will transfer 10% of that, 300 million yen, before the year is out. 9 billion? I don't have that kind of money. After Father passes away, you should be able to work it out. We've managed to investigate it at least that far. You should be able to handle the deposit of 900 million yen in your current financial situation, and it should even be possible for you to borrow it from Father, right? There's no need for obvious charades anymore. How unpleasant. We're back to, accusing you of embezzlement. But does it count as embezzlement if the person you're embezzling from has already died? I'm not sure how the law works about that. Also, his mouth's like really wide. He have like a double Whopper from Burger King or something like that. Do you even know? There was a time in like episode 1 where she talked to Kenzo. Is Kenzo actually alive, or is it like an animated puppet? Like, what's happening? Is this house just full of LSD? What's happening? Truly unpleasant. It is at that. Even just the discussion of Father's inheritance was far too disrespectful. Father is already dead. My husband is hiding that and keeping all of the money for himself. I have had enough of this. None of you are qualified to bear the name Ushiromiya any longer. Calm down, Natsui-san. We've all said all we need to. Why don't we leave it at that for now? This is happening all of a sudden, and on a massive scale. We might even be getting agitated ourselves. Why don't we take a break for a while to cool our heads? Kraus-Nissan probably needs a little time to himself. Right, Kraus-Nissan? Time? And why would I need something like that? Don't worry. We aren't thinking of anything shady. We're just so eager to see Father that we've started grumbling a bit. And Kraus-Nissan, I know real well how you're dying to get back at us for the things we've said. If you're willing to go so far, then you just need to let us meet with him. Right? Isn't that right? You just got a bit stubborn, and it felt awkward to say you'd let us see him after saying we couldn't all those times. Isn't that it? Right? Right? It certainly does seem that my husband has lost his composure slightly, just like the rest of you have. We were only refusing stubbornly out of respect for Father's desire not to meet with everyone. Indeed, that's right. It was turning into another sibling fight like the old days, and I started feeling stubborn as well. Let us cool our heads. I understand how much you all want to meet with Father. I feel like your dad was a fucking asshole. I mean, when you guys talk about, and even just the way you guys are with each other, it just... I feel like there were like parental problems here. I understand how much you all want to meet with Father. I will pass that on to him. I'll find some way to convince Father to meet you. Will that do? Yeah. I think it'd be okay to give Kraus-Nissan some time to persuade Father. Yep. We're counting on you, Iniki. Please persuade him to meet with us. After all, your dad's caretaker. And as for persuading him, let's set a limit on it to sometime tonight, okay? When tomorrow comes, we'll confirm Father's well-being, even if we have to break down the door to his study. You have no problems with that, I take it. Nissan. Do as you like. I see it seems even the time I've been given to persuade him is short. Let us go, Natsue. We shall ask him to join us for dinner at least. Right. Kraus left the parlor with Natsue. Once their footsteps disappeared, Hideyoshi took a deep breath, smirking and flopping onto the sofa. Kairi-san, you're a frightening person. Sorry for speaking out of turn. I apologize. I do like this about her. I like that she's smart. No, you didn't corner him like we'd originally planned. But in the end, this was even better. Just like always, I've got to bow my head to you. But can he really prepare 900 million? I believe we estimated that 750 would be the most Kraus-Nissan could afford. With his current financial situation, isn't 900 million gouging him too much? If he can't do it, that's fine too. If we do something like lowering it to 750 million so Kraus-Nissan can save face, it'll look like we're compromising, and it'll be easier to settle, right? Why does this sound like Donald Trump? Where like Donald Trump will purposely set a high asking price, like so he can negotiate down to what he really wants? Like, this sounds like the way Donald Trump is at business. That's even better. Nissan is probably having a strategy meeting with Natsui-san about now. It really will be interesting to see what kind of twisted logic our proud Nissan comes up with as an excuse. Convince father. Again, I do have to say she looks very pretty. She looks like Ivy from Soul Calibur 2. She looks like Kaoru Nagisa from Evangelion. She looks like Sare, the VTuber. I like her face. Convince father? There's no way he can. There's no way to convince someone who isn't even there. Is he actually going to join everyone for dinner this time around? You look legitimately fucking sad. The siblings have all come despite their various circumstances for this annual family conference. He looks legitimately sad. Why is there a suit of armor? Kraus and Natsui could be seen in Kenzo's dimly lit study. Every once in a while thunder could be heard, and the dimly lit room flickered with light. It seemed that the island would be closed off by the storm very soon. Father, please, just this once, show those disrespectful people the majesty of the head. It's useless. Is that just a really common saying, or is that just a thing that family says? The large shadow of a person standing by the window, his majestic back facing them, answered quietly and forcefully. He hung his head and shook. Eventually they could hear a mumbling laugh over his shoulder. Cackle, haha. It's useless, it's all useless. Wahaha. 3 months left to live. An almost finished geezer. To whom exactly are you referring? Dude? Goldsmith. Dude, your face. You fools. What drugs are you on? I mean, this looks a little bit like, okay, something's off with the dude. This is just straight up, he's on drugs. What drugs are you on? You're on a lot of drugs at the moment. Okay, I did not know Kenzo was like popping shrooms. Did you wander over here because your siblings threatened you? Know your shame. His eyes did a twitchy thing for a moment as Kenzo turned and brushed his cape. It flashed forcefully through the room's stale air. That air pressure truly signified Ushiromiya Kenzo's majesty and willpower itself. After being blown back by the wind, it wasn't strange that Kraus landed on his butt. As though showing consideration for Kraus, who looked as though his legs had been swept out from under him, Natsui also crouched down. Then, with a thunk, Kenzo's footsteps approached with a heft that signified his dignity. The father. Dude, what is wrong with you? And also, again, I feel like Kenzo is... like, every time we learn more about Kenzo, I feel like Kenzo is not a good person. You fool! I heard from Canon. Just how far did you pathetically let your siblings lead you around by the nose? For father, my husband is doing his best to protect your honor." Without lending an ear to Natsui's words, Kenzo extended his palm to Krause's collar as the latter sat on the floor. No, he curled his fingers, leaving only his pointer finger out, then took that finger and pressed it up against Krause's collar, twisted it, and slowly, with just one finger, picked Krause up into the air. "You really are a pathetic fool. You let your wife speak in your defense. If you have an excuse, give it yourself." Krause clawed at the air. Why is Kenzo an asshole? Kenzo's brawny finger was choking him. He couldn't even open his mouth, much less talk. However, even if he had been able to open his mouth, as he was now, there was no way he'd be able to think of an excuse Kenzo would accept. Still, how could this power be described? No one would call Kenzo an old man after seeing this superhuman strength. Dr. Nanjo? Are you pumping steroids into Kenzo? Is he, like, roiding out? I mean, it would kind of, I guess, explain why he's a piece of shit. You know, he's so angry. "Father, my husband is fighting in his own way. Please forgive him." "Natsui, fighting is a process you go through before winning. The process you go through before losing isn't called fighting." "What is it called?" "That's called being pathetic." You know, I kinda understand why all your children only care about the inheritance and don't actually care about you as a person. Then again, Krause, even before this, constantly talks about how he's worried about you just coming up and punching him. Heck, the discussions where Ava was trying to fight, you know, to become successor, like there's usually like every conversation with you and Krause, even when he was a teenager, involved you punching him in the face. You're not a nice person, Kenzo. You call this my successor. You know, again, you'd say, oh, you're just toughening Krause up. You're going to make him more tough. Yeah, but you're also going to make him fucking hate you. The only thing, like, you're not teaching him to do anything moral but you're just teaching him to be a fucking asshole. You're teaching him, you know, to abuse authority. And you're teaching him to fucking hate you. The only thing you're teaching him is to hate and fear you. You're a terrible person. As thunder roared, Kenzo laughed heartily, as though nothing could be more pleasant. Also, again, what drugs are you on? And when he finished laughing, he threw his son away like he was scrap paper, slamming him against the wall. Natsui's eyes did a thing. Grau! Dear, are you okay? Krause slid down the wall, rubbing his throat as though in pain. Natsui ran up to him and looked after him. But without showing any interest in the two of them, Kenzo returned to the space near the window as though he had been there the whole time, and looked up at the thunderclouds of misfortune. I thought I would have no regrets in my life, if only I could meet Beatrice, but it seems it won't go so smoothly. It was promised from the beginning that nothing received from the witch would remain. However, the Ushiromiya name is not the property of the witch. Who is fit to succeed that name? It seems that this alone must be resolved by my own hand. Rejoice, Krause! I have changed my mind. Father? So... I have no desire to have dinner with you cowards. However, I will attend the family conference afterwards. I don't like you, Kenzo. Father, but I'm at least glad that you're going to make a public appearance. Thank you very much. There, I shall make a great announcement regarding the succession of the head. I will resolve your foolish quarrel myself. Psychotic old bastard noises. Okay, we were at 3 something. Okay, so dinner time, I guess. It's like 6:07? We're like 6 hours from the first murder spree of the 4th game. I don't think anyone's actually technically died yet. Other than my respect for Kinzo. But then again, that's already died. Forcefully opening the door of a clunk, Rosa flew in with Maria. Is Genji-san or anyone there?